Hello, you're watching Monday edition of News Mongolia. Today is March 14th. For our top stories, the concert hall of the Central Palace of Culture to be renovated with Japanese government grant. Indian tea producers consider Mongolia a new export market. Meeting and workshop on amended legislation held for foreign diplomatic missions. For other news, stay tuned. The signing ceremony of the contract for the renovation of the concert hall of the Central Palace of Culture, which will be implemented as part of the grant Roots of Cultural Grass of the Government of Japan, took place on Friday at the Japanese Embassy in Ulaanbaatar.
The concert hall of the State Philharmonic will be renovated as part of the Japanese government's Grassroots Root Grant project. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Japan and Mongolia. The agreement to implement the project was signed on Friday by the ambassador of Japan to Mongolia, Mr. Kobayashi Hiroki, and the director of the Central House of Culture, Mr. Erwin Batter. To date, the government of Japan has implemented a project to purchase musical instruments for the State Philharmonic in 1991 with a grant from the General Cultural Foundation, and a project to improve the sound equipment of the Cultural Center in 2005 with a grant from the Grassroots Foundation. In 2007, the State Philharmonic and the Murdochor Ensemble co-hosted a tribute concert to welcome His Majesty the Crown Prince of Japan, who also paid an official visit to Mongolia. It's hard to forget that the prince also presented his violin performance. The Grassroots grant will be used to renovate the concert hall to a high standard, and the audience will be able to enjoy the performances of the State Philharmonic and the Murdochor Ensemble in a more comfortable environment. As for me, I can't wait to visit the concert hall after the renovations have been completed. A total of $83,056 or 236,213,321 MNT will be provided for the renovation project of the State Philharmonic Concert Hall. On behalf of the Central House of Culture, the State Philharmonic, and all Mongolian artists, I would like to thank the government of Japan and its embassy for their decades of friendship and cooperation. The Japanese are a world-renowned people for many good qualities, such as responsibility and loyalty. My wish is that the Japanese-Mongolian friendly cooperation will expand for many years to come. Through the Japanese government's Cultural Grassroots Grant project, it aims to improve the cultural and educational environment in developing countries, develop cultural ties with those countries, and deepen friendly relations and mutual understanding. The project was first launched in Mongolia back in 2005.
Chai, the Taste of India event was organized by the Embassy of India in Mongolia. The event was attended by representatives of the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Mongolian Indian Business Council.
India is the second largest tea producer in the world. According to India Brand Equity Foundation data, India's tea exports stood at $826.47 million in 2020 and $755.86 million in 2021. Indian tea is among the finest in the world thanks to India's geography, heavy investment in tea processing technology, continuous innovation and augmented product mix, and strategic market expansion. The event participants noted that Indian producers consider Mongolia a potential export market. According to the National Statistical Office, Mongolia imported 1,400 tons of tea in 2020, valued at $1.1 million. India stands fourth in terms of global tea export after Kenya, China, and Sri Lanka.
India produces a very high amount of tea and very different variety of tea, classical tea. So we are looking for opportunities in Mongolia. We are finding here that there are not much Indian tea varieties available in India. So this is basically a tea export promotion seminar where we want to bring to the knowledge of the Mongolian people through the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and from the Mongolian India Business Chamber of Commerce the varieties of tea available. That's why we have brought brought some sample for the people to savor, to taste and see and feel the flavor. Yeah. So this is our basic purpose. That's why we started this one. And we feel that once restrictions are removed and once there are opportunities for the shippers and for the exporters from India in ease of exporting to Mongolia, because Mongolia is a landlocked country, we feel that they have their own difficulties. We will be able to bring more tea and the other produce from India. India, not only in tea, but if we see India is a major producer in coffee, rice, vegetable, fruits. We have plenty of different agriculture produce. India is amongst the largest producer of wheat, the other varieties of the maize, pulses, millet. We are going to have which are very not only from terms of health and nutrition, but in terms of the pricing and the quality is superior as compared to other
During the event,
produce from the world.
Representatives of the Mongolian Indian Business Council and the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry delivered a presentation on trade and mutually beneficial economic cooperation between the two countries. They noted that Mongolian businesses should consider India an important export market with its population of 1.3 billion.
We are entering a new era of the relationship between Mongolia and India. So we still have to look for more opportunities. For example, on the seabuckthorn and the honey industry is the one we have to mention here. Many companies are getting involved in production of honey and seabuckthorn, and they are looking for the places to export. So India is one of the locations they have to reach. Traditionally, we have the more import than the export is like 1 to 100. So it's in export wise, it's not fair game. But we a lot of opportunities to export from Mongolia. So we still have chance. So we have to be very proactive on this.
The event included an introduction to different Indian teas with unique flavors like Darjeeling and business networking meetings.
Recent studies show that boys are more prone to obsessing over online gaming than girls. Mental health experts say that a close parent-child bond can help boys find better balance in their recreational activities. A study carried out between 2015 and 2019 revealed that 192 Mongolian children were hospitalized as a result of excessive online gaming. Boys made up 96% of the children hospitalized. Experts know that the games themselves aren't the problem. Some children obsess over gaming because of boredom or loneliness.
Parents have a tendency to not effectively communicate with their children. This makes children vulnerable to challenges in social situations, and they struggle more when coping with stress.
Experts advise parents to reconsider their approach to parenting boys. Boys shouldn't be raised with toxic masculinity ideals, such as being tough and not showing any emotion. In the long run, this outdated approach creates many psychological setbacks and undesirable behavior. Boys also have the need to be heard, valued, and understood. Parents should understand that emotional problems that emerge in childhood can persist into adulthood if they are left unaddressed. Data shows that 1 in every 8 men experiences depression and 1 in every 5 men has an anxiety disorder. Untreated depression can easily lead to problems with addiction. Today's rate of depression is high among males aged 15 to 35. Psychologists say a healthy emotional state is rooted in an emotionally healthy childhood. To bring the rate of depression down, a special attention should be paid to parental communication style when it comes to raising boys. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Thanks for staying with us on MNB World. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
The Mongolian Immigration Agency held a workshop to familiarize the consular officers of diplomatic missions in Mongolia with amendments to the law on the legal status of foreign citizens and other relevant regulations and new services. Representatives from 28 embassies and diplomatic missions in Mongolia took part in the workshop. In his opening remarks, Orhun Bayır, head of the Mongolian Immigration Agency, said that with the introduction of online options, some services can now be provided without complications and delays. The amended law on the legal status of foreign citizens stipulates that the number of foreigners residing in Mongolia for private purposes may be up to 3% of the country's population, with a limit of 1% coming from a single country. This allows for about 100,000 foreign residents in Mongolia, but there are currently only around 18,000 long-term foreign residents. Detailed information was provided on common concerns raised by foreigners, including complications related to obtaining visas and residence permits. At the end of the meeting, embassy and diplomatic mission representatives got better acquainted with the activities of the agency. The Immigration Agency says it will closely cooperate with the foreign diplomatic missions to promote Mongolian tourism and support the post-pandemic economic revival.
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. The match for the Super Cup of the Mongolian Football Federation was between Athletic 220 and Dirin. Dirin, the runners-up in the National Premier League, beat the league champions 2-0 to win the Super Cup.
Last year's Hisense Premier League champions Athletic 220 and Dirin played for the Super Cup on Friday to mark the opening of the Mongolian outdoor football season. According to the starting lineup, Athletic 220 sent their key players through the winter transfer window, but were strengthened by Japanese players. In addition to the best players of the Mongolian under-23 national team, Dirin brought in players from Korea along with the Russian striker Pavel Zakharov, who brought a new look to the league and showed a high level of preparation. Ushiredui from Dirin opened the scoring in the first half, and Pavel Zakharov scored from the penalty spot in the second half, defeating Athletic 220 2-0 to win the Super Cup. It was their first trophy they lifted at the Premier level. Ushiredui was named the best player of the historic match, and the trophy was handed over by Amroy Sıkhlın, chairman and board member of the Mongolian Football Federation, and Gambatr, vice president of the Asian Football Federation and president of the Mongolian Football Federation.
Here comes the weather forecast for the world's major cities. This was Monday edition of News Mongolia. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again with more news updates. Stay tuned.